Hi, I'm Nikki, and I'm 17. Do you like to comb your hair, braid it, do a ponytail, maybe a haircut or color? Lucky you, because I can't do any of it. I don't have any hair at all. How did this happen? No, I didn't face cancer, and I wasn't shaved by aliens, and I never served in the army. It was a terrible accident at school. Let's start from the beginning. I was never too popular. You know, there's always that invisible kid in the school that no one would invite to a party, ever. Well, here I am, the lucky one. There are pros and cons in being unseen. You know, like, I can say, hello, to someone, and they would just look through me in response. I am always ignored, all by myself, surrounded by books instead of real people. I even used to like it until the day that changed my whole life. By the end of first semester, I signed up for an advanced course in chemistry. I was always interested in it. I wanted to be a doctor. I still want to, and I will be. So once we had a practical lesson, a whole 45 minutes alone with reagents, flasks, a huge distiller, and 2 noisy classmates. Mr. Anderson, our teacher, was so tired of listening to their stupid jokes and trying to maintain classroom discipline that by the end, he just gave up and sat down with his eyes closed. Suddenly, Mr. Anderson got called to the director's office. What does your class look like when the teacher is gone? My class is a complete mayhem. The chief bully, Dick Kennedy, immediately made a terrible fuss. He grabbed his test tube, filled with distilled water, and spilled it on the guy next to him. That one made a terrible face and began to hiss loudly. Well, of course, we had a whole lesson in acids, and Mr. Anderson showed us how to mix liquids so that caustic drops wouldn't scald our hands. For demonstration, he dipped a piece of apple into a bottle of hydrochloric acid and explained what happened in our stomach due to this very dissolution. Several test tubes were lined up on the teacher's desk. I knew that we all had water or weak alkali solutions in our test tubes. But I didn't like that the guys started to spray them and pretend to get burnt. They hissed and screamed louder and louder, and everything around us was wet. Our bags, our clothes, and the notebooks on our desks. I asked them to stop, but they did not pay any attention, and the teacher didn't come. And it did. Actually, at first, I felt that Dick, who was sitting behind me, throw something at his friend, but unfortunately, it hit me. Or maybe, fortunately, because if I hadn't been in its way, the acid would hit Francis right in his face. My hair got wet and my skin started to burn. Dick screamed in fear as he saw shreds of my hair fall on the floor. It was getting more and more painful, but I knew I shouldn't touch my head. Yes, I was incredibly scared, but the acid that burnt my skin almost did not hurt me. Almost. The teacher came in just as I started to scream. He looked at me and got scared too. Everyone was terrified. The back of my head was wet with blood. The school nurse came running. They calmed me down, washed my skin with a lot of water, then with alkali solution. There was almost no hair left. Some patches on my temple and forehead had to be removed because I looked like an elderly stand-up comedian. For the first week, I just couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I had never considered myself a beauty, but now that my once blonde hair was gone for good, every glance in the mirror hurt. I simply couldn't recognize that bald monster covered with the scaled burns. Mom and Dad even removed or covered all the mirrors in the house, especially for me, but it's impossible to hide from myself and other people forever. Dick tried to apologize several times, but I didn't feel strong enough to accept his apology. How could I forgive him? My mom and I went to the wig store, when my wounds healed enough. We chose several wigs made of natural hair, an artificial one, and one with pink pigtails. One more simple, and one with bangs. I even had a little fun trying them on one by one. Ladies in the store kept telling me how good I looked, how pretty I was, but that couldn't bring my hair back. That day, I realized that I'm going to wear a wig for the rest of my life. Of course, if I don't want to embarrass others with my bald head. Have you ever wanted to hide in your room and never leave it? That was my only wish. But you can't hide out forever. I wasn't thrilled with the idea to put on my head a wig every morning. It looked so unnatural. As time went on, I began to get used to it, but there was a new problem. As if there weren't enough already. Wearing this mop of hair, I felt sweaty and uncomfortable. It didn't hold well and bounced during sports, but I was too afraid to take it off. Soon, Dick stopped portraying remorse and began to bully everyone again. I tried my best to ignore him, but Dick acted like a total dick. I annoyed him, as if he blamed me for what had happened. How dare he behave like that? I felt awful, being dragged in these endless quarrels and shouting back. At least I became more self-confident after what happened. I felt like I had nothing to lose. Once he said that I could stop deceiving myself and others. He grabbed my wig and then just pulled it off in front of the whole class. I froze without my last layer of protection. Everyone stared at me so openly and viciously that my knees were trembling. And then Doris got up from her seat, although we never even spoke to each other. She just got up and came over to me, putting herself between me and Dick. She did so without a word, and without a single word, she held out her hand. She took the wig out of Dick's hand and slapped his face with it. Then the other girls stood up. They shielded me, looking down at Dick and shaking hands with me. I felt for the first time that I was not alone. It was amazing. Dick could not stand the silent pressure and left. He just stormed out of the class, slamming the door. I wanted to put my wig on. It was awkward to stand surrounded by my pretty classmates with my bald head. But Doris stopped me. "There's no need for such a beauty to wear someone else's hair," she said, and patted my shoulder. "This is your new style." I knew that I was different from other girls, but I still couldn't see any positives in it. Neither could I go on living as before. The more I tried to hide my baldness, the more awkward everyone felt, including me. That day, I went to Doris's house after school. She and her friends did some magic on me. They experimented with clothes and makeup. I didn't understand much of that fashion slang. Ha ha. What, a monster looked at me from the mirror? Well, my bald head was nothing comparing to what the girls painted on my face. No way! I washed it all off. But at home, I tried to put on my own makeup. I could no longer be mistaken for a mousy little thing. Bald with a pair of new earrings and bright makeup, I was a goddamn style icon. People paid me attention, yes, but I actually liked it. I owned that attention. I controlled it now. Less than a month later, Dick asked me to go to the prom with him. Yeah, forget it. I have already promised to go to the prom with the one who shaves his head. Let's see what happens. I'm going to be a doctor, maybe work in a burn center. And meantime, I post my brand new looks on Instagram. I think this is important, not only for me, but for everyone who has a difficulty accepting his or her unconventional appearance. If you enjoyed my story, please like it, and you will find many other cool ones on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and push the bell to stay tuned. Have a good one.